So I want to extend a little bit more to explain what, trying to strip away the right to assemble some more of the societal consequences. Because remember, you know, um, jails, prisons, that would be considered assembly. So, you know, ultimately you abolish the right to assemble. Um, the government needs to figure out what to do to give individual housing to each and every inmate and each and every you know and we're also talking the factor of technically without the right to assemble, that would mean no cellmates. Wait, wasn't wasn't solitary confinement considered unconstitutional? It wasn't deemed a torture tactic and hate crime. Wasn't that yeah. So kind of contradictory law. Hmm? But yeah, so that would mean everybody would need to be released from prison. But that would also mean that by definition, the military would get deemed as an organized crime organization. I mean, literally, they're assembling to train to learn how to kill. I mean, they are literally going to said location, which going there is premeditation to learn how to be able to kill somebody. So, premeditated attempted murder charges for veterans, as well as, helpers. Yeah, because remember, the people that helped those organized crime, quote unquote. Yeah, um, the helpers that would fall under aiding and abetting. So that means being patriotic and helping a soldier will be a crime. So yeah, having to resolve this in court because remember, you need tangible, you know, restitutions. But you know, we're going to want to remember bringing this to court. The American Civil Liberties Union, as well as the Southern Poverty Law Center. Hearing the details, this is one of those situations where they'd be like, listen, you're not wrong. This is one of those situations that's going to need to get handled very quietly and very delicately because it would completely dismantle the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And the funny thing is, my reason was saying, hey, let's bring it to a courtroom. It's because, like, hey, you wanted to use defamation of character as a, because anything could be a weapon, apparently, quote unquote, the whole pen is mightier than the sword thing. Yeah. There's no way this trial wouldn't end up going national, not to mention that, but you'd be on national television as the motherfucker that destroyed the ability to be able to go to church, that destroyed the ability to be able to organize family reunions, organize, families getting together for the holidays. Um, that would have released everyone in prison. But you would also be the asshole that disbanded the entirety of the military, which would, on a, because apparently you think that, world history isn't relevant to America, that whole thing. Yeah, by doing that, ultimately that would leave us vulnerable to domestic terrorism attack. Wait, isn't the military supposed to protect against all threats, foreign and domestic? So, this lawsuit, this lawsuit right here, getting this resolved in an official manner, you know, especially because also remember, um, for anybody in their 30s, just remember, Photoshop came out in 1990. If you have somebody in your family that deals with electronics, computers, anything like that. Don't let them lie to you. They absolutely know what Photoshop is. They absolutely know what a revenge porn situation is. They know that the internet is forever. They don't have a solution because the problem has gotten so out of hand that literally back in the 90s, the infant, internet, we'll call it, when it was really starting to not be as wet behind the ears. Your parents would have to go ahead and make you believe that there's no tangible way that in a revenge porn situation, that wasn't you in the process of slut shaming you. And then the question you need to ask them is, all right, Photoshop was released in 1990. It's 2024. So you want to tell me that 34 years of a program existing to literally alter images in which could change perception. All right, because I understand visual, visual editing as a career would be really tough regardless. All right. But they would need you to believe that there's no possible way that their eyes are lying to them, while at the same time wanting you also to buy the reasoning of, oh, well, I didn't think that this consequence could end up happening. It's like, hey, guess what? If you're the adult in the situation, you spawned me. All right? So you're the one supposed to see the danger. You were supposed to be the leader, the parent. You were supposed to be the head of the household. Remember matriarch, patriarch, that whole situation. You want me to believe that with a program being around for 34 years, that you never imagined that with its sole purpose and conception of being able to manipulate visuals, that there's no way that your eyes could lie to you, and that nobody would ever be malicious enough to revenge porn, and that nobody would ever go ahead and superimpose somebody's face onto. You see my point? Now, that being said, if they want you to believe that, why don't you go ahead and ask them how Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and everything were doing when they got sent to the farm? They need to retire, that whole thing. And the funniest thing is, when it comes to indoctrination, you do realize religion was the weapon used to win World War II, right? Project Hermit. Go ahead and read up on it. Funny thing is, that posting, 1950, all right, it was the Republican Party that ended up going ahead and admitting about the factor of religion being intentional indoctrination. They would go ahead and airdrop fucking pamphlets of propaganda onto battlefields and go ahead and use the person's superstitions as well as their local lore and legend of wherever the conflict was happening in an attempt to try to weaponize through psychological warfare the person's personal, you know, um, patterns and behaviors to try to weaponize them against them. So, that being said, the government admitted in 1950 the factor that religion is propaganda. Almost born in 55. So, this has been the standard since before even she was born. But yeah, yeah, I'm really fucking tired of these cults.